Okay, Mike, ready when you are.
All right. Well, first of all, before we go on the record, thank you for accommodating me. Like I told you this morning, I kind of forgot I had this meeting tonight when I booked my travel. So, all right, here we go. We're going to call the meeting, the March 26th Millwood Planning Commission meeting to order. That's my gavel. We'll start off with a roll call. Commissioner Rickard.
Commissioner Rickard called in and said he would be absent this evening.
Okay. Commissioner Beasy.
Here.
Commissioner Molitor.
Here.
Commissioner Wu.
Here.
Commissioner Mike, Chairman, is here. So we do have a quorum. First order of business would be approval of the meeting agenda. Anybody care to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the meeting agenda.
Any second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion on the item? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All in favor of the meeting agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Motion carries. We've got an approved agenda. Item number 3, action items. Motion, well, so I can't give the motion, but we need to approve the February meeting minutes as presented or with any modifications. I looked them over. I thought they were pretty good. Does anybody have any comment on the meeting minutes from February?
I did not see any problems.
Okay. All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve the February meeting minutes.
I move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Second?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. That's action item number 8. All right. So now we are to item 3B, the periodic update information, and I'm sure that's we're going to slide it to Amanda.
Yep. So at the last meeting, there were a few questions that came up, and so the first large portion of your packet there is all answering those questions. One of the questions that came up, I believe, by Commissioner Beasy was how are households of color defined? And it is defined based on the identification of the person that is responding. So a household comprised of people with different racial and ethnic identities could be identified as a white household if the householder identifies as white. So it's up to, like Commissioner Anthony and I were talking, it's based on what they identify as, whoever's completing this information. And then number 2 was the negative numbers in the charts, and that's a big lengthy explanation there. But what it results in is they made some corrected charts, and I incorporated those in that don't have the negatives.
So what did they do to correct them? They explained it and it made sense, but now it disappeared.
Now it disappeared.
The minus numbers.
Yeah,
they double counted people, so in order to come out to the proper number, they subtracted to correct for the double counting.
Yeah, because it was only dealing with 4 households, double counting 4 households, and that carried through the negative. So the corrected figures are included in the attached file, and corrects the issue. Yeah, I didn't go back through and add them up.
Well, I think they add up, but
Yeah.
so I'm wondering who. Their problem is that they're counting 2 different things that can both be true, because you're counting Latinos of any color and you're counting, in this case, whites. So you're going to double count because 4 people ended up in both categories. So which category did they subtract them from to come out with 1 without doing the minus number, which at least was somewhat transparent? So I guess they just subtracted it without saying where they subtracted it.
Yeah, it doesn't say in the response. And then the next question that came up, and I believe it was Todd Beasy that asked, sorry, I may get wrong who asked, but it was why are we at 106 units when if you take the population times 2.44. So I gave the big long HAPT discussion here in response on it, but in summary, Commerce basically said that we have different allocations for housing and for population because the housing allocation takes into account the historic underproduction of housing. And so every jurisdiction has a housing allocation and a population allocation. And because of that underproduction, it's talked about a little bit in here, it adjusts the housing allocations. And we're still way down with Rockford and the other smaller cities and towns compared to the big guys. We're down with the little guys. But that's the reasoning is all the information about HAPT and how it's done. And then the predominant is that housing underproduction. And so the new allocation goes up to accommodate for that.
So where do those numbers come from?
They're generated.
All of this,
Yeah.
and they gave a sample equation. It says, well, it's more sophisticated than this, so this won't exactly do it, but this is basically what we're doing. So if you plug numbers into their sample equation, we should be at 21 housing units, not at 106.
No, it's
So their sophistication is adding a whole lot, like 80 more units to us without telling us what the variables are that are throwing us into that.
yeah. If you look on the last page, which would be the HAP chart, which is in front of packet page 13, so it'd be packet page 12. That shows Millwood at the 0.14%, which
Yeah.
equals the 106 units, and then divides them out into each of the income.
But how did we get to the 0.14? Where we have 0.05% of the population.
Yes.
How did they come up with the number 0.14? Why is our housing number 3 times and nobody else's is? Nobody else is even close to that. We're an outlier compared to all the other jurisdictions, both big and small. We're this huge outlier. How do we know they didn't make some kind of a,
What number are you looking at that you're saying you're an outlier?
well, all of these tribes.
Yeah.
They're going from 0.05 up to 0.14, so 3 times greater for population growth compared to the housing growth.
And
Some of
nobody
these
else
others
is
are negative.
anywhere close to that.
It's just because numbers are so small. If
Yeah.
you're looking at like Medical Lake, it is almost double.
Almost double. We're
Yeah.
3 times.
Yeah.
That's
Small
a huge
number, but
difference.
it's 3 times, yes.
3 times.
Right.
You know, it just, and I read through this information you gave me, which was very useful. And I read it. I mean, I spent probably a couple hours going over these 5 or 6 pages.
Mm-hmm.
And it's missing the piece that tells us what those other variables are that makes us such an outlier compared to everybody else.
That's a good point. I did the same thing. I spent
Yes.
several hours trying to go through this and understand it. It never does
Well, because they
explain.
didn't give us all of the information, right? So we can't, there's some pieces missing. What, you know, there, and it's in how they come up with the share of housing growth. It's not in the HAP when it comes to dividing it up into income brackets and types of housing. It's not there. It's before you get there. It's how you get that share of housing growth.
I will look into it further.
Yeah, I would really.
I will let you know that this, the numbers are on track to be adopted. They are past PTAC, which is where my portion ends. They're into steering committee of elected officials and getting close to recommendation to Board of County Commissioners.
You know, maybe they're legit, but
Yeah.
I'd sure like to understand.
And at the last meeting, I do not believe on the steering committee, I'd have to double check if the mayor heard the same thing, but I didn't see where they wanted to look at adjustments. But I can double check again.
Well, the other thing is if these numbers are legit and it's not just like an input error or something
Yeah.
or other that
I'm
messes us up, then-
99.9% sure it's not input error because one of the PTAC members went through this in depth and double checked everything.
So, but if it's legit,
Yeah.
what is it that we are doing? What is it about our particular situation that is so different from everybody else's that it's throwing our numbers
Well,
to be so much
If-
different?
it's based on underproduction, like Commerce had said. The quantity of housing in Millwood compared to the Valley or Cheney or any of the other ones I'm familiar with, what would you say, one a year, if that?
No,
Yeah,
Did we build
yeah.
houses? Oh,
oh, a lot more than that.
Mm-mm.
New houses?
We have been. I mean, over the
Not per
last
ye-
5-6 years.
No, because we have to do a report every year, and what was last year and the year before? It
like
was
one or two at the
Yeah.
most. We had that duplex over on Boeing. And before that,
When did we build the duplex by
on
Walgreens?
Stout. That's a long time. That was like 2022, 2021.
You know,
We have like one a year, roughly. One housing, maybe a duplex, or maybe just a house a year. We had one over on Dalton, but that was like way back in like 19.
Yeah.
There's just
There's
not
tons
hardly
popping up,
any.
but there's a
it
whole bunch
feels
in.
like they're popping up.
Well, there's a whole bunch in like Orchard Avenue area.
Yeah.
A whole
Right,
bunch on
right.
the other side of the river.
Yeah, but
But
not
not
in
right
Millwood.
here.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's no. We had the one split that was up here on Buckeye, that they split the lot and built a house there. But that was, I mean, we average maybe at the most two a year, if that. Lots of times it's one.
So where does that number come into their program? I mean, it doesn't say where they get this number from because the HAPT thing is set up to divide up.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily set up to give the share of housing growth based on share of population growth.
Yeah.
So
So
where,
let me,
where does that number come from?
and it is user input. Let me get back to you on the answer. I don't want
Yeah.
to give you the wrong answer.
Yeah,
So,
I'd really like to understand.
Yeah.
If I understand, well, you know, then it is what it is, but I'd really like to understand.
Okay.
Another question I had, and this is more clarification.
Mm-hmm.
Do the negative numbers already have adequate housing for the existing population? And I'm looking at Liberty Lake, their share of population is 8.8, and the share of housing growth is only 6.8 or 6.9.
Oh yeah, they're way more dense, and so they didn't have as high of an allocation number required.
All these apartments.
They
That makes sense, but I just didn't, now that I understand that, yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
they have been building at urban densities since incorporation. And then the last part, we don't really need to go over because it was summarized in Laura's, but before I'd gotten Laura's responses, I highlighted all the info about the racial and ethnic categories. So I believe that was all the background info on the
There was something in here that talked about quality of data and how you judge the quality.
the A charts versus the regular charts.
Talking about the, I thought there was like a grading of, I spent all my time on the HAPTAs, but I did read,
Page 15. The caution flag for small populations.
yes, that's it.
And and that was the other. I stumbled over my words, so I'll get back to that one real quick. I stumbled over my words twice at the last meeting. I want to correct. AMI is area median income.
Not Millwood specifically, but the.
Well, it's Millwood. So area median income.
Okay, but area being specifically Millwood or area being Spokane County?
I took it as Millwood, but I had said adjusted median income, but it's area median income. Let's use area median income. I was using Millwood's median for looking at the different categories.
Okay.
I will in this case, for the charts, I would think it'd be Millwood.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they're all Millwood related. But if that's incorrect, I will let you know.
Okay.
And then going back to your question on when they talk about the caution flag for small populations,
Yes.
that's why they created the A charts in order to lump the different categories of ethnicity and racial identity together, because we had such a small one that it was creating the flags of use with caution. And so that's why I utilized the A charts.
Okay, so this is something that is in some kind of program you use that flags you to say be careful, or?
It's in the Excel spreadsheet that I got that had all the different charts in it. If it was a regular one and then it had a note that does, small populations use with caution with the note, and recommended to use the A chart that lumped everybody together, because the individual Asian, Black, Hispanic, white race were so small.
I know.
Yeah.
One
that it
family
was
moves
better to
out
use
and
the
you've
A.
changed everything.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why I used the A charts, because we were part of that small population.
Given the small numbers that we're
Mhm.
dealing with, given when we get to those numbers, how much, this one's from 2018 and we're comparing it to this one that's got the 2020 number where we had a 9% increase in population, and this other one's 2023. I mean, I kind of wonder if we need a little caution flag in that chapter about we're dealing with such small numbers, here's our best attempt, but be careful in over interpreting this stuff,
Yeah.
because it really,
And when we get to those charts in there, I flagged so we could talk about that.
yeah.
Okay. And I think that was all the information.
Very useful, by the way. Thank you very much.
Some people like all the info, some don't, but.
It was, I have to admit, it was confusing the first few times that I went through it, so
Exactly.
you had to be paying attention.
It's fun to look at all the numbers.
Commissioner Aitken, is it okay if I move on to 3C?
Well, in a moment. So do we need to do anything on item B, or was it just an informative?
It was answering the questions, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, then that takes us to agenda item 3C. Carry on to the comp plan.
Okay. And for this one, I went through, because we're dealing with a whole lot of highlights in this, which I will get those all cleaned up for the public hearing. But I highlighted the bottom page numbers so that I could see, as we went through, any little changes that were made. So first one is page 20.
Trying to share my screen.
A packet 20 or page 20?
Packet 37, comp plan page.
Perfect, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. So the reason these are highlighted in green, because we had everything all done and all was looking good. And then I realized that the ordinances 524 and 525, I believe it was,
Yeah.
were not incorporated into the comp plan. So, and I briefed council on this at the last meeting as well. So I went back through and took the numbers from the historic preservation goals and policies and everything, or it wasn't goals, it was policies, and inserted those and then moved our new ones down in number. So that's why they're highlighted in green. So nothing changed on that other than the numbering. And I cross-checked and everything to make sure we were all good.
Okay, so just numbers changed.
Yeah. And it was so I could put the historic preservation ones in as adopted.
Okay,
So, and again, I'll remove all that highlight stuff when we go into hearing. So all these pages, 21, it's all because I had to insert those. And 22 has the historic preservation ones that were adopted in 2022, I believe it was. Okay. Same thing as we go down, G15, I did a goal reference there. incorporated those in, those are all done. All the same.
Which page are you on now?
Oh, page 24 or packet page 41, just looking at all the green highlights that were renumbered.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm way behind them, okay.
Then, page 27 or packet page 44 is the additional policies for historic preservation that were put in and renumbered again, so it's all numbering. And now we're down into the implementation actions, just renumbering. 26, so page 31 or packet page 48. I did verify with Shireen, it was architectural arches, so I added the word architectural there.
Okay.
Yep.
I wonder about it though. Cause I just can't think of any in our businesses at all, except new ones.
I thought we talked about it being in some of the homes.
It is in some of the homes, but if we're talking about making the businesses match, it's not in any of the businesses.
Business districts.
They're all very squared. From the 20s was squarish. And you got the Safeway has arches, but that's about the only business that has any arches. And it's not very historic.
Yeah, I can only say what was put in is that it was, I don't know how it was created, but it said it was the Millwood Business Organization that did it before it became Millwood Community Association.
I don't mind having arches in there. I think they're cool. But you've been around longer than me, Bobby. I trust you.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it, but yeah, maybe as we move it 10 years from now, maybe we'll want more.
Just because it's there doesn't mean we
Architectural
have to have it. Just it's
Right.
considered.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for uniting the districts.
Right.
And then page 32 or packet page 49, I did add after doing more interviews, I added number 39 for implementation action. Update zoning, development, and land division regulations to allow for infill development consistent with neighborhood characteristics. And that's consistent with what the results of the land capacity analysis were. So we hinted at it all through, but I did a summarizing action.
What is infill development?
Meaning, I'll use UR1 for example. We have a lot of long, narrow lots there, and I've been approached by a lot of neighbors that are interested in either subdividing off the back or adding ADUs to the back. All that's infill development. So basically, you're taking an open field in the back that they're not using and creating a housing unit or two housing units back there. That's infill. So you're taking it, we're not having any big major new subdivisions. The biggest land we have is 2 acres basically. So it's all infill.
So what does consistent with neighborhood characteristics mean in that case?
As far as,
Neighborhood characteristics are no flag lots, all
well, and the flag lot's gonna have to go away because that's the only way we're gonna be doing the infill development. And I don't think there is one person, no, I can honestly say there is not one person I talk to that doesn't want that. They all want to be able to use the backs of the properties.
really.
Yeah.
Let's talk to different people.
Well, yeah, you've got a lot of them here. So, and UR1 obviously is the biggest portion that's going to have that back where it's so much bigger. UR2 not quite as much. UR3 I don't think at all.
So what is the consistent with neighborhood characteristics part?
Just looking at, so UR1 for example, you've got a few, I believe the Dements property is one of them, that it's one of the original Grandview Acres 132 feet wide properties, but the majority of them have been divided in half. And so we're now looking at about a 60 to a 65 foot wide lot. And then you're looking at no sidewalks right now, however, hopefully we can change that. You're looking at lot coverages that you have shops and stuff mixed in. So basically trying to fit development to what's already in the neighborhood as much as possible. That's how I mean neighborhood characteristics.
I guess that,
It's a good way to get more living space.
yeah. The infill ties into what our needs are as far as ADUs and future development.
Yeah.
So that part makes sense.
It's kind of how are we going to design it so that it gives them the same quality of life that the west side of Argonne has with its smaller lots and its sidewalks and its walking areas and its neighborhood
Yeah.
feel rather than one house that's back behind another house, and that's
And that's part of the
that's a bit
process.
more than
Yeah.
neighborhood characteristics.
But I didn't want to leave it as just to allow for infill development. We could have ended it there, but I wanted to make sure we took into account that UR1 is a little bit different than UR2. UR2 is different than UR3.
Yeah, you go over to Marengo and you see that a lot on Marengo. That
You do, and it's a nightmare.
yeah.
There's
I mean,
no
there-
sense of community or,
No,
you
it's-
know.
the older homes are on Marengo and the newer homes are down by the river.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then
And then-
you've got places where you've got houses around the block, and then you've got a couple of houses plopped in the middle of the block. And you've got to worry about fire truck access, being able to get a fire truck in and out. You need to worry about, like I said, a sense of community, or blue zone feel thing. So, I mean, yeah, maybe we need to do it, but I think we need to be very careful about doing it and think it through. Look at what some other places have done. Maybe they've got some better ideas than they.
Do you like the wording consistent with neighborhood characteristics, or you saying you don't?
Well, I'm kind of wondering if we could put something else consistent with good neighborhoods, or, I mean, I'm
Well, we
trying to
can't
think
really
of something that would
really
mean
define
something.
it, 'cause it's gonna be up to the property owner, really. anyway,
Well,
what
we
they're
can
gonna do.
define a lot of things, we can. Because, when we do the zoning, we can define,
Well, I think that's what she's trying to say, is it's gonna be different depending on where it is in Millwood. So we're just leaving it broad in this action.
Yeah. The comp plan should be up here,
Wide.
and then when we get to the Millwood Municipal Code is when we're-
10,000 foot level,
Yeah.
looking down.
So I think somebody touched on it earlier. Maybe you did, Amanda. Should we just leave it division regulations to allow for infill development?
And we can leave it there if you
Leave it at
prefer.
that?
I like having some kind of qualification.
Okay,
You know,
okay.
we need to think about this. And it kind of says we need to think about it. At least we need to talk about it to decide if it's
Okay,
part of characteristics of the neighborhood.
okay.
And then again, the bottom part was just a placeholder for when the next goals and policies come in. Next one, page 36 or packet page 53 was. Let's see.
Can we go back to page 33 just again for clarification?
Yeah.
The planning area. Says the city of Millwood is bordered on three sides by the city of Spokane Valley with unincorporated Spokane County along the northern border.
And I made it consistent with the other section, so I updated the other section to match.
Okay, and yet it says the northern edge of town is defined by this, couple sentences down. The northern edge of town is defined by the Spokane River. So you've got, it's defined by the Spokane River versus unincorporated Spokane County along the northern border.
But most of the Spokane River is unincorporated Spokane County.
Okay,
I mean, I thought of that too. So
Yeah.
that's where I landed.
okay.
Yeah, it's like this much Millwood and
Okay.
this much County.
Well, that makes sense. Okay.
But that same paragraph, that first sentence is kind of crazy sentence. I think it would be better if we took out the and just started a new sentence with the Spokane River flows along the northern edge. Instead of trying to connect it with an and, it kind of
Yeah,
sometimes simple is just.
sure. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right, getting back to what you were talking about.
Okay.
Yes, sorry.
And then let's see. Oh, this was the chart that used to go whoop right up in the middle in 2020. I took a look at the numbers and at the sources and added wording, likely at least partially corresponding with household changes and increased opportunities for remote work during COVID-19.
Okay, which one
The
was that?
spike.
Page 53, packet page 53.
Yeah.
Okay. And I
So-
didn't see that language. Say that again.
In the blue.
In the blue, so remember you guys had questioned why we spiked in 2020? And I did a little research on it, and Bobby, I believe, said it, and she was correct. It likely at least partially corresponding with household changes and increased opportunities for remote work during COVID-19.
I think that was Mike, but yes.
Mike, okay,
That was a good point.
yeah.
Okay.
And so I added that wording and then adjusted the chart so it looked more normal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, the page before that, page 35 and 52, we have from 2010 to 2018, Millwood's population on average has been. It seems like once, since we're after 2018, the word should be was rather than has been.
Okay.
Gotcha.
If there's any of those others, just let me know and I'll include them. I'd rather have it now than for public hearing.
Sure.
Well, and then I still have trouble with the climate statement.
And I adjusted that and talked to climate. What page was that on? At the very top.
Yeah.
Talked to Kyle
Mhm.
and adjusted it after I talked to Kyle.
Right, so I like
Yeah.
that saying that snow accumulates in Millwood during winter months, that's true. But I kind of wonder about the overall climate of Millwood is mild and comfortable for residents most of the year. Yeah, compared to Alaska and Maine maybe, but
Yeah.
not compared to a good chunk of the country. And I have seen some things about Spokane's climate that talk about it being a high desert
Mm-hmm.
climate, and talking about the rain shadow and how that means that we get less rain, and there must be another model that kind of matches my experience.
Well, I think the average rainfall in Spokane County is like 17 or 18 inches. And I've heard that same reference about a high desert type climate because, you look at Coeur d'Alene or you look further east and they get a lot more precipitation than we do.
Well, that's the rain shadow. We're
Yeah.
right where that rain shadow is dissipating.
Right.
That's why Coeur d'Alene gets more rain than Spokane does.
Right.
And we get less rain than Coeur d'Alene, but more rain than Spokane. It's because we're on the edge of that
Okay.
that shadow of the Cascades and the rain coming over.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that.
But I kind of wonder about country averages. Is the average of the country counting Alaska and Hawaii, or is it the lower 48? Or,
Just U.S. average is all.
yeah,
it's-
well, what's
Yeah. So I would assume the entire United States.
so we're taking an average of the tip of Alaska and Hawaii. and
Which one are
comparing
you
ourselves to-
missing? I'm confused.
Down here, the last
Well, throughout this thing, it
couple
talks
sentences
about which is
about the sunny days.
Well, they're
which
just,
is less than the US average of 38 inches. Well, a US average of 38 inches of rain is kind of useless to me. I mean, what does that tell me about how Billwood is?
well, they're just giving straight numbers based off the weather people that count the weather every day. So it's
Yeah,
like
they
actual
are, but-
data. So I don't know why it's a problem. Like,
It's kind of meaningless.
but it's the actual data. It's that
Yeah, it's
somebody's
actual
actually
data.
putting it. It's
But why
actual
are we
real.
including this
Well, why
particular
wouldn't we
action?
use real data? I mean,
What?
Why wouldn't we use real data? She's not making
Well,
up the
we do,
numbers.
but why did we pick that real data? That particular real data? That's my question.
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I think this represents Bowen, my experience, pretty well. So
Well,
I'm comfortable
I'm
with,
very comfortable with
this,
it.
yeah.
I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah, I think.
okay. Okay. At least we got snow on the ground now. It's important.
Okay. Okay, you're going back to page,
41 or packet page 58.
oh, okay.
And,
See if I had any.
oh, that was the clarity one. So, I realized, I went through and made the graphic a little clearer, but I realized what happened was, this is the reduced version, so I can email it to Lisa. So some of the graphics aren't as clear as they would be on the final version that would be on like the website, for example. But I did go through anywhere where I could cut it down a little bit and make things bigger, I did.
Yeah.
43 was the exact same thing. I clarified it as much as I could, but the reduced quality is partially due to reducing the size of the document. Then 45 going into 46 is, again, it was hard to read on there, and so I went through and clarified the size a little bit.
Packet page 62,
Yep.
packet page 63.
Yep. And then packet page 64, page 47 were the updated charts without the negative to them.
Okay.
And there was no chart 15A provided. I double checked. It's only 13 and 14 had A's, 15 does not.
And if you want a clarification on that page 48, right at the top, very first sentence, by income category, you got just a space there is all. It's-
True.
yeah,
Oh, that I can't correct unless I redo the title. That one came right out of theirs.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, there's just a couple other things. Oh,
So this particular chart is one that we did differentiate.
it's the only one that was differentiated because there was no 15A provided for Millwood.
Okay, so do we have any idea how many individuals we're actually talking about on these?
Oops.
In the Hispanic or Latino, we have numbers somewhere else, so that one, we've got numbers on, but the Asian and the Black or African American and the others, we don't have any idea if we're talking about 5 people or
I can
100
only-
people or.
Yeah, because we use the 13As and the 14As, it only lumps into by household on the other ones.
But we don't know how many Black
Individuals?
or Black or African American households we have.
Yeah, we do.
I thought we had
Yeah,
that.
Okay.
that's on page 46, packet page 63. So, but it's all households of color. It's not differentiated.
Exactly.
Oh, and that's because of the low number. We had to use the A charts.
Right, but we
Yeah.
don't have any chart for this, even though the numbers are just
That
as
is low.
correct.
Yeah. But it's how it's divided out because it's not comparing, the different races. It's comparing within the race themselves on the different income brackets. So, why they didn't put a 15A, I can't tell you.
This is where I think something cautionary might be wise, something along the lines of we're dealing with such small numbers,
Oh, that was where, okay.
you know, that
So down at the bottom, I have additional demographic information for the city of Millwood is contained in chapter 6, housing, and chapter 10, parks and recreation. Right above that, I could put a, disclaimer essentially.
Packet page
Yeah.
65.
Yeah, sorry, packet page 65.
Okay.
we take these numbers too seriously.
In the middle, kind of under the graph.
So something to the effect of Millwood has a very small proportion.
Or something like in that information you gave us
Okay.
that had the flags on it, something
Okay,
similar to that.
use,
It seems like this is the perfect example of what they were talking about.
yeah, use information, page wording. That'll make sense to me.
Yes.
Oh, I know that one.
Okay. Yeah. I saw that often enough.
Got stuck it to memory.
Yeah, the rest of them were, God, they're bouncing back and forth.
Okay, I will take the wording from the information.
Yeah.
Okay. And the next one is the map on packet page 75. Yes. I believe it was Commissioner Ankney said that there was a brand new website, new information up. He was correct, and we have a brand new
Ooh.
map.
Thank you, Mr.
With
Anky.
no bike shop on it.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yay.
That pretty map.
When we come to public hearing on the next one, if you see something highlighted like packet page 77 or comp plan page 102, things like that'll still be highlighted because that's where I want to make sure when I go down to the transportation element that I carry through consistent info. So if you see any highlights, it's going to be for that reason.
Okay.
And there was 102, yes. Page 110, packet page 85. We have clarity. So, right there, I have the answer to the question that kept coming up. Where is the pedestrian crossing at that intersection?
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Pink is the crossings, and then the island crossing is in the blue, connecting the interurban trail. So I added that graphic to it.
Where's the railroad?
Railroad is just to the right of the blue. So the islands.
Yes, just, okay.
To the right of the blue.
So
So
wish I had.
right here is the track.
No, right here where my
Yeah, right
pointer-
there. Look up on
where
the
my
screen.
pointer is pointing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't look like railroad tracks, but.
Yeah, usually they put little lines.
Yeah.
So you can't, so Bobby was right, you can't go across right here.
No, and that was because of the railroad. So let's word it this way. It is not being designed for a pedestrian to cross there. However, if somebody does. But the railroad would not allow the connection there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I can walk across there.
Well,
I'm sure.
depending, there have been some times they've said, no, we're gonna put up a fence there, and there've been
It's a
times that they
little, I
haven't.
clarified with the engineers, it's a little barrier thing that you can go around or get through, but, not that we're encouraging anybody to cross there, but the legal crossings are the other three sides.
At least there's still a safe way to get around with
Yeah.
your bike or your kid or your dog.
And you don't have to go a block or two down, that was what the biggest concern was.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't want that to keep coming up, so. And it wanted to make sure it was, designed where it was actually useful for that, so, and it was. Next time I should grab the packet ahead of time so I can flag it.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, page 96, or page 121 for the comp plan. Somebody spoke that they thought it was an old picture of the Butler mini park area, and you were correct. I talked with city staff, and that is the brand new picture. That whole back area that we were originally looking at is gone. It's gonna be, used for public works, and so that is the fence, so it cut the size down greatly, so now it is just a passive space. They were fine with naming it Butler Mini Park, but it's basically a grassy passive space is what it's
You could throw a football or something.
gonna be. So I made the adjustments on the sizes, for everything as I carried it through based on that.
We could put some accessory dwelling units on that piece of land.
Feel free to scroll too, Lisa, if you're faster than I am. There we go, finally got to one. Okay, oh, and it's not exciting. It's just all adjusted because of taking out Butler Mini Park. Out of the
Which page are you on?
calculations. Page 114 or 139.
Okay.
All of that work and it wasn't even anything exciting. Right up top.
Yeah.
That was all, because I had to make the adjustments. As little as it was, I had to readjust everything.
114, you said.
Yeah, packet page 114, there's just, numbers crossed out, new numbers put in, off by one.
And then
Go up top.
Yeah.
Can't keep up fast enough. Oh, yeah, I had those highlighted.
packet page 116 or comp plan page 141. As requested, I added about the difficulty of crossing Argonne.
Yes.
I clarified that it is a narrow walkway on the north side of Trent, and I renumbered the green because of the adjustment with the historic preservation. Next one was just renumbering the green on the next page. On page 119 or comp plan page 144 was taking out Butler Mini Park since there's not going to be anything done with it.
So clarify, when you call it passive, what's the difference between passive and active in the parks?
Passive is just an open green space. They're not going to do any programming or anything there. So it's not going to be an active space where you have baseball or even a horseshoe pit. It's just a passive open space.
Not gonna develop it at all or
Correct.
anything.
Yeah.
A picnic table or a bench, is that still passive?
It could be, yeah. And we kicked that around. We took it out because it was such a low amount that if they wanted to do that, it wouldn't be in a priority table anyway.
Right. I was just wondering about the terminology.
Yeah. And I don't know if did they say they were gonna put a bench out there or something?
I didn't,
Yeah. I don't know if
in
it
that
was
meeting.
decided.
Something down the road somebody could
Yeah.
decide to do or not.
And I think there's only one more. Oh, page 153 or packet page 128. It's exciting. I added the Spokane Parks Foundation. That was it. And then lastly was the CIP chart. As requested under 2026, I put Sergeant Road Spokane River Corridor. I have met with SPVV Landscape Architects. They are getting me some cost estimates and some sketches for that.
Oh, nice.
Yes. And then we took Butler Mini Park off the CIP down there.
That's the access that people are wanting for kayaks
The
and
small
such.
scale canoe kayak put in.
Well, or the other property also.
Well, this is the one that, in talking with city staff, that could actually be a reality in 2026, based on keeping it small scale. And so
Right.
that's why we're looking at that focus right now.
Right, I wonder about waiting till 2030 on Nest.
And
I've got
that
a-
was it.
I've got a concern about all these grants that, you know, we're gonna have to have in order to fund this. With what's going on
Oh, yeah.
with the current administration, and also the state of Washington is rolling back a lot of funds for a lot of these things, so.
Yeah. Obviously,
Nothing
that
we can-
plays into it.
Yeah, nothing we can do about it right now,
Yeah.
but I'm just thinking that that could have a major impact on our plans for,
And that's why, you won't see that table finalized until we can get to chapter 11 and get the capital facilities portion, so they go together. And then we can only go with the info we have at that time.
Well, and the
Sure.
thing is, you've got no chance if you don't have it in your plans.
Yeah.
good point.
You know,
Yeah.
you could have it in your plans and have it not happen, that's okay, but
Yeah, if
but
it's
if
not
it's
there,
not in the plans.
And Mike, that's all of mine.
good point.
Cool. Cool. Great. Well, good work, Amanda.
Thanks.
And thanks for walking us through that. Appreciate it. Okay, any more comment on the periodic update or any more questions? Okay, we'll move forward to public remark. Do we have anybody in the audience that would like to address the planning commission?
Yes, we do. We've got several, Mike.
Okay, have they signed up, Lisa?
No, there's no sign up, but they've raised their hands.
Okay, so, well, we'll just call them, since I'm not there and can't see, I'll just call you up one by one. Who would like to go first? Please come up to the podium, state your name and your address, and please limit your remarks to 2 minutes.
Kyle Dement, 10306 East Empire. You were questioning the lots down there about having a flag lot. I have a 1 acre lot with a ½ acre fenced on the back. I can't put a second house on the way the zoning is right now.
Right.
But you guys allowed 17 trailers into the field next to me that's less than twice my size.
I know.
So that's my concern when you say you have concerns about keeping neighborhood characteristics. There is no characteristic now. It's going to be a trailer court next to me. So there should be no reason why me or one of my neighbors can't put a secondary spot on their lot. So that's my concern. So that's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Who's next?
Todd Beasy.
Mr. Beasy.
I thought we killed it. Let's talk about it after.
Thank you very much. And Amanda, what a project you've been working on. I can see a lot of work has gone into that. Thank you very much. At the last meeting, I mentioned about since it's a 20-year plan ahead, did you put it in there about narrowing Argonne in the area here from what it's proposed to be?
I talked with city staff, I believe, about that, and the Argonne project is going forward. It's
Correct.
Yeah, and so
Does-
there would be nothing about, since it would be newly constructed in 2025, there would be nothing in the 20-year horizon that would change that.
Unless it's in there as a possibility to do, have Argonne 2 lanes, no turn lanes.
Yeah.
If it was in there, then you could reference it in 10 years and try to get it.
Want to go back from the widened with turn lanes back to a 2-lane road?
No, 4 lanes. Two lanes
That's
north,
what I meant. You're right.
2 lanes north, 2 lanes south. Use the intelligent traffic lights to move people across Argonne and such.
I don't see that happening unless they put in more ways to cross the river because Spokane's just growing.
Well, freeway is going to be finished up here in 5 to 7 years. So
You're optimistic, Todd.
I got in Spokane in '66, and people were talking, "Oh, we're going to have a north-south freeway." So, but if it's not in there, then it can't be referenced. And like I said last time, many people, the businesses, the grassroots organizations, do not want the turn lanes there. We'd be fine with intelligent lighting, but it's just wide. And who knows, maybe down the road they'll bring up the crossing of the river by University. At one time that was talked about. And so I don't know. But if it's in there,
I did share your.
if it's in there, it can be referenced. So, okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Beasy, one comment on that. I would strongly urge you to go to the Spokane Regional Transportation Committee open houses that they're having, or their town hall meetings, and express your concerns with them, because they're part of the body that reviews those type of proposals.
Correct. Yeah. We have sent letters to them, and what they did is, rather than moving the letters up the chain, they sent the letters back to the city of Millwood. Because I went down to their office in the Peyton building and spoke to a gentleman there.
Why do you oppose a turn lanes in the middle there, Todd? Because, I mean, coming down Argonne, when it's busy and somebody's gonna turn left, it backs up traffic all the way. If there's a left turn lane, then
There's a
the
flow.
traffic
Okay.
would continue to flow.
The reason people are not happy with turn lanes is because, and you asked the question, so I'll answer the question, is because there are too many very negative unintended consequences. And some of those unintended consequences is that we lose 3 crosswalks, we lose 2 parking spots on, plus 3 or 4 there by Liberty that are now, it's on private property. Some cars park there. We'll lose those.
20 parking spots.
Pardon?
There's 20 parking spots that we lose with this project for the Central Business District.
So 2 on the road there, 3 or 4, and then on this side of the tracks we lose another 8. So you're talking a loss of a lot of parking spots. And when the turn lanes are in there, it makes Argonne quite a bit wider. And as many of us know, it's quite an adventure now to cross Argonne as wide as it is. And making it wider just makes it more dangerous for pedestrians and bicyclists walking across. So it's more dangerous to the citizens of Millwood being wider. And another unintended consequence, it will change the atmosphere of the historic district. It'll change the character and the feeling of that area. I think in a negative way, because got this big wide street to try to cross and such. So it's the negative unintended consequences. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beasy. Okay, who's next?
Shereen Young.
Yeah.
I think more people will be able to turn across to get to your business. And I can get to my house.
I wouldn't count on it because they're not putting any more lights. In fact, they're taking away. So
All right, let's let Shireen go.
Hi, Shereen Young at 8903 East Liberty. And again, I'll echo what Bob said, or Todd said about the work. We know that this is a lot of work, and thank you all for doing this. I do have an update for you. So on page 127, packet number 102, this is just real recent. Pumpkin Patch Community Garden. The name has been changed. It will be Millwood Community Garden. And Millwood Impact it will be under their umbrella of responsibility versus Millwood Community Association. And part of that was because of the efforts that they're going to incorporate it with their star clubs. Summer activities and teaching kids about gardening, sustainable food, definitely food insecurity, addressing all of that. So it just seemed to fit to go in there. You know, the property's still owned, of course, by the paper mill, and they're actually, hopefully, it's in some points expanding it further on Marengo and maybe doing like a food forest and things like that. So anyway, just an update for you on that regard. And the activities, thank you for getting those listed. Those were great. And yes, our churches also do have a lot. They do, you know, they're posting all their new free events and different things like that. But I saw that you put that just in the paragraph above. So anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you. Anybody else?
No, no one else. I'm sorry. No one else.
No one else? Okay,
No.
thank you. Okay, I appreciate everybody's taking the time out of their night to come up and address the commission, so thank you. Agenda item number 5, the city planner report.
Yes. So, obviously you all know what we did last month for planning commission. There's been, as we come out of winter and into spring, as usual, there's been a slight uptick in, some applications and stuff. And then continuing to assist with some code enforcement. Wingstop, Wingstop is the CO and is open. So,
Some links tonight.
and then 2708 North Laura. I started to speak with the council a little bit about this, and then I backtracked because I had to make sure who was the appeal agency, and it's actually Superior Court. So 2708 North Laura is one of our first examples of where the codes have evolved and the properties haven't. So this is a historic property that has a shop garage that is 1 foot off the property line. Most of the ones over there seem to be about 1 foot off the property line.
On the inside of the property line.
Yeah. And
okay.
because of that, the code had absolutely no flexibility for me to do any kind of an administrative variance or adjustment for him. Basically, fire district came back and said, yeah, put in a firewall and we're fine with it. Those are the kind of examples when we get down the road here a little bit on some of the flexibility. Unfortunately, this gentleman is having to go through the full variance application process, public hearing, everything, when the agencies are supportive of it. And I don't know what'll come out of it. I know his neighbor was supportive of it. And so it's a processing thing that may not be needed in the future.
So what is it he's trying to do?
So he has an old garage that's in sad shape. He wants to rebuild that so that they actually can park a vehicle in it. And then he wants to add a carport out in front of it so that he's not dealing with steps and stuff in the winter that are an issue with snow.
And keep it on the same foundation.
Keep it on the same foundation, and basically to have it improve the look of his property, just like the neighbor across the street did. Theirs was done just longer ago. And so we have that as an example. And so this is one that I'll bring up again as we go through the process to see what comes out of it. But it's a perfect example of if we can have a little bit of flexibility in the code to address things like this. The biggest concern obviously is going to be fire issues. And when the fire department comes back and says, yeah, if you do a fire blocked wall here, you're fine, that addresses it. Things like that are also going to come into play with the new unit lot subdivisions, where they are 0 lot line, and it is required by the state of Washington. So our codes, being quite as strict as they are not going to fly well. And so I like to put these things on the radar as we go through to have real life examples that we can use to look at.
No, we did put something in the code that gave a certain percentage that you had administrative, is it not?
Not for
big enough?
setbacks. I was shocked that,
It's for required width, but it didn't include setbacks?
there is very, very, believe me, Lisa knows I have beat my head on the desk.
Right, you found the one I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah,
That
yeah, I
did actually
studied
make
it
in the
in
code.
depth.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there is one, maybe two I think one administrative exception I've been able to utilize in my time here, which is going on almost 2 years. There's just no flexibility in it.
And I feel so bad for this guy.
I was gonna say,
I mean,
bummer
it's a
for them,
big
like-
expense
Yeah.
for him to have to do this. It's a big expense.
And it's a risk. I mean, we don't know
Yeah.
what the hearing examiner is going to say.
Then he'll just be
Yeah.
out.
And he can't hold off and wait till we get to that portion of our comprehensive plan?
No, he needs to get he had reasons he needed to get it done. And there was no guarantee. I couldn't give him a guarantee we were amending the code to fix it either. So, yeah.
We will talk about it though.
Yep. So these are some of the real life examples, like the flag lots and stuff, that I want to make sure everybody's aware of when we're putting the code into practice. And then a periodic update. I mean, obviously just interviews. Then I've had more continuing the work on that, and then, like I said, updating and incorporating Ordinance 524 and Ordinance 525. Just so you know, the way that I have done it and plan to continue to do it as long as I'm contracting with Millwood is I don't wait to add things to the comp plan when we do a periodic update. We'll put them in right away. And so, say 2 years from now, we go through and have an amendment to the comp plan. I would go through and update the website, and we're done. And so I don't know how it had been done in the past. I just know that these two ordinances were not in the comp plan because the last version we had was 2019, even though they were approved. And
They're
so,
supposed to go in the once a year process where we consider them. They were supposed to go in.
there was
Part of the comp
no
plan from then on.
research everywhere. In fact, we had to get the Word version from the original consultant and then go through and cross-check to make sure everything was consistent.
Yeah.
And that's where that was caught.
overlooked somehow.
So, I just wanted to make sure to let you know that we'll keep updated on that for future. So, that is the biggest things, and then just more meetings and stuff for the updates. So, awesome. Yeah.
Cool. Good. Any questions for Amanda? Okay,
for me.
that brings us to commissioner remarks. Commissioner Beasy.
Just one of the things back when we were talking about the various activities and things, I kind of came to the conclusion that a lot of our problem was not in not having activities, it was in not letting people know about the activities. So I will mention that we still have pictures at the Spokane Library. I think they're going to come down in the next couple days. We had 34 people come to the discussion of theft, fire, and celebration. And on Mother's Day, the Saturday and Sunday of Mother's Day, we have the Mack Museum's Mother's Day house tour in Millwood, where you'll actually be able to go inside some of the houses in Millwood, as well as Hutton Settlement.
We need a more robust social media. We need more extensive social media fingers. I think I told Trina I'd do it one time, but I don't have time for that. But if we did, I mean, it's so
Yeah, there's a lot.
easier.
A lot going on.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know we have-
Anything else, Bobby?
No, that's spring is here. It's wonderful.
There you go. Good.
People all over the street.
Commissioner Molitor.
I'll just echo what everybody has said about it, what a great job Amanda's done. I've already asked other questions, so good job, Amanda. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Wu.
Yeah, and I just want to say thank you. I've been like really impressed with the people who've been coming to the meetings, so I really appreciate it. And it's awesome to see people here that care, that want to be involved. That goes a long ways. So thank you for coming
Perfect.
consistently.
And I'll echo the same sentiment everybody else did. Good job, Amanda, and I appreciate the people coming to our meetings and voicing their concerns and things like that. So with that in mind, our next meeting is April 30th at 6 p.m. And we have our anticipated agenda items, which is the public hearing on the draft comprehensive plan, updated community visioning and goals, policies, and actions frameworks, and new draft comprehensive park plans and recreation element. With that, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make the motion, Mike, to adjourn the meeting.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Okay.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next month.